What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. This video is going to be on Anselm of Canterbury, who is known as the father of scholasticism, and his work, which is on the procession of the Holy Spirit, basically defending the Filioque. So let's read. Anselm, he was a Benedictine monk. He was an abbot, a philosopher, and a theologian. He was born in 1033, died in 1109, and as I said, he was known as the father of scholasticism for his methodology, I guess. Boom. Now we're going to go to basically every single one of his arguments and just understand them. So, he's on the procession of the Spirit. He argues that spirit is a relational term so that we understand the Spirit as spirit of someone. So the Father is Spirit and Holy, same with the Son, but the Father is not the Holy Spirit. So he says, okay, if there's a spirit, it's a spirit of somebody, because spirit is a relational term. So Father is Spirit, and Father is also holy, but he's not the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit picks out the third person in the Trinity. And he says the Greeks do not deny that the Spirit is the Spirit of the Son, but they actually just deny that he proceeds from the Son. Okay. Now he's looking at persons. Father means there is one from whom someone is generated. So this is a common thing among basically all the early churches, that when you say father, it already shows that there's a son, because you cannot be a father without a son. So father means that there is someone already generated from the Father who is going to be the Son. So Father and Son. Son also means that there is someone who is generated from someone. So if you're a son, you obviously have a father. So it's already presupposed, I guess, when you say son, that there is a father. And he says Holy Spirit also means that there is one who proceeds from someone. So he says the same thing from the Son. If there's a son, it means that he is begotten from a father. But he also says the same for the Holy Spirit. If there's a Holy Spirit, that means the Holy Spirit has proceeded from someone. Okay, now he questions the difference between generation or begetting and procession. So he says, the difference in generation proves the Spirit is not the Son, because he is not from the Father as God, but God as Father. Which means that he is not the Son. I'll say that again. Because he is not from the Father as God, but God as Father. Which means that he is not the Son. So he is not from the Father in the sense that the Spirit's Father is the Father, but he is from the Father. Yeah, okay, that's a bit confusing. Relations distinguish the persons, and the Spirit is not the Son because he proceeds and is not begotten. That's what Anselm says at the very start of his book. And then he goes into relations. So basically, Anselm presupposes that you need, or supposes, whatever, that you need an eternal causal relationship to distinguish persons. So he says the Father is from the Son, or the Son is from the Father. Because there's a Father and there's a Son, that means one of them needs to be from the other for us to be able to distinguish them. So he says the Father is either from the Son or the Son is from the Father. And he says the same. Either the Spirit is from the Father or the Father from the Spirit, and then also the same for the Son. So he says the Spirit is either from the Son or the Son from the Spirit. And then this is his original thing, and now he's going to go and actually try to explain which ones are true. Is the Father from the Son or Son from the Father? Okay, now he has about 13 arguments that I picked together. So, okay, argument number 1. The Son or the Spirit is from the Father's substance, which is one substance that belongs to the Trinity. Therefore, when we say that the Son is from God the Father, it follows from the unity of nature. If the same God is Father and Son, the Spirit is from the Son. So this is Anselm's argument. He says the Father is fully God, the Son is fully God, the Spirit is fully God. That means that the Father and the Son together are fully God, and the Father and the Spirit together are fully God, the Spirit and the Son together are fully God, all three of them together are fully God. So you have them being distinct, but they're all fully God. And if you put two of them in the same sentence, they're both fully God. And then this one, the other two, fully God, etc. So he says, if the Spirit is from God, that means since the Father and Son are fully God, that means the Spirit is from the Father and the Son. Next argument. If God has no parts, if the Son is from God, he must be from the whole God, Father and Son and Spirit. But since the Spirit is not the Father, the only way the Son is from the whole God is if he is from the Spirit, which is absurd, so the Spirit is from the Son. Okay, basically very similar argument. He says, the Father is from no one. So we put him at the top. The Son is from God, and God encompasses the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So let's analyze. Is the Son from himself? That makes no sense. So no, he's not from himself. So he can be from the Father or the Spirit. Is he from the Spirit? That makes no sense. He says that's absurd. So no, the Son is only from the Father, and then he goes to the Spirit. The Spirit can either be from the Father, the Son, or the Holy Spirit. So is he from himself? That's absurd. And he says, so that means the Spirit is from the Son and the Spirit is from the Father, because the Spirit's from God. Yeah, just rewind that if you didn't understand. But that's his argument, to say the Spirit actually proceeds from the Son. Argument number 3. If God is from God, it is either by generation or procession. Son cannot be from the Spirit. Son cannot proceed from the Spirit. So the Spirit must proceed from the Son. That's his argumentation. Again, it's basically just the same thing of either he has in his mind the Spirit is from the Son or the Son is from the Spirit. And he goes first 3 arguments to prove that the Son cannot be from the Spirit, which means for some reason that the Spirit has to be from the Son. Argument number 4. The Spirit is either originate or unoriginate. So he's either from someone or from no one. If he is originate, he is completely identical to the Father. If he is unoriginate, I meant to say here. This is supposed to be unoriginate. He is completely identical to the Father. Therefore, the Holy Spirit is originate, which means he is from someone, and is from God. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But the Spirit cannot be from himself, so he is from the Father and the Son. Exact same argument as number 3. Number 5. In John 17:3, the only true God refers to the Father and the Son. This is important because calling the Father only true God doesn't elude the Son from being only true God. So everybody agrees that the Son is only true God as well. I mean, not everybody, but like Augustine does, and Ambrose, which means they are both holy God. So he's doing a hypothetical. If after John 17:3, John wrote, and the Holy Spirit proceeds from the only true God, this would necessarily mean that the Spirit proceeds from the Son also, because they are both only true God. So he thinks that only true God, you would have to predicate like this onto everybody who has the title of only true God. Yeah. Argument number 6. If the Spirit is sent by the Son, he belongs to the Son, therefore must proceed from the Son. If he is sent by both, he must proceed from both. If he didn't proceed from the Son, then the Spirit wouldn't belong to the Son, then the Son would have no right to send the Spirit. So this is the idea that the Spirit is sent by the Son, which means he proceeds from the Son. Okay, and I want to talk about this one a little bit. Even I've seen Catholics even reject this reasoning of proving the Filioque, because like it is kind of conflating essential with hypostatic, because if you're predicating something to God, you say necessarily it means that it has to be on all 3 of the persons. That's like saying, okay, God is unoriginate. Yeah, God is unoriginate, wholly unoriginate. Yeah, but can you say the Spirit is unoriginate? You can say essentially, but you can't say hypostatically. And a procession is not an essential action. So for you to say, like, if the Spirit proceeds from the only true God, he must proceed from all three of them. Oh wait, he can't proceed from himself, so that means he proceeds from two. It's it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's confusing. Hypostatic things can only belong to one person, or that's what some arguments is, that ad interactions only can be acted upon by one person instead of multiple. But just the idea that, okay, the Son is from God, that means, but he can't be from himself. I don't understand that reasoning as well of okay, the Spirit is from God, but he can't be from himself, so he has to be from the Son and the Father. Why isn't he, with that reasoning, why are you excluding him from being from himself? I don't understand. Is that like where's the, because if he's from God and he is God and you're using that argumentation, I don't understand just taking out, okay, but he can't be from himself, so he has to be from the other two. Because God is something essential. So if you're saying he's from God in an essential way, he has to be from all three. Yeah. I know it is a confusing argument that I've even seen people, even like Filioque, reject this argumentation. I don't know. But Anselm was probably the first one to use it. 7. If we say that the Holy Spirit doesn't proceed from the Son and the Father gives the Spirit to the Son, it seems the Son is lacking something that the Father does and gives the Spirit to supply that lack. So, yeah, he's saying, just from his opinion, he thinks that, okay, the Spirit proceeds from the Father and it seems like the Son is lacking something. Yeah. Argument 8. The Spirit says, I will speak only what I hear. The Son says this of the Father also and has his origin from the Father. So the Spirit has his origin from the Son. If the Spirit receives all from the Father, which the Son has received from the Father. Yeah. So he this is very common. He says the Spirit receives all from the Son, and which the Son has received from the Father. That's and I shall receive all, because all the Father hath are mine. Then he says this, well, the Spirit has to proceed from the Son as well, which is a common argumentation. Argument number 9, Matthew 11:27 proves the Spirit receives all knowledge from the Son. In God, knowledge is substance and is existence, so the Spirit receives existence from the Son. But also, if the Spirit only knows the Son because he shares the same essence, then when the Spirit proceeds from the Father and is one with the Son, this means that he has to proceed from the Son. Yeah, so he holds a Thomistic kind of idea of absolute divine simplicity, which is, in God, knowledge is substance and is existence. So if he receives knowledge, he receives existence. Argument 10. The Spirit proceeds from the essence of the Father. The Son shares the essence with the Father, therefore he proceeds from the essence of the Son also. This is actually something that even like Gregory Palamas, who rejects the Filioque, he agrees with, because he wants to keep the distinction of person and essence very clear. And he says, the Spirit proceeding from the essence of the Father can mean two things. It can mean energetic procession, which is because energy is something essential. They call it a homoousion because it's from the essence, so it has to be of the same essence in a sense. So it can mean energetic procession, but it can also mean hypostatic procession, because he says that essence and person are distinct. But if I say the Spirit proceeds from the essence of the Father, what I really mean is the essence is not a fourth reality in the Trinity. It's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and each of them possess the essence. Yeah. So, if I say the Spirit proceeds from the essence of the Father, I'm really saying he proceeds from the Father. And so he argues that, okay, it depends on the context as well. He's either proceeding energetically from the Father, which is from the essence of the Father as an essential energy, a natural energy, which is what Cyril of Alexandria says, which is the same way energies proceed from the essence of the Father, which is how. So Cyril of Alexandria, in his commentary on John, he says that the same way energies proceed from essence, he says fragrance proceeds from flowers. And so if the Spirit is a natural energy, it's obvious that he proceeds from the essence of the Father. But that means something else than proceeding from the Father, because it's energetic and then there's hypostatic. But as I said, it can also mean in the Eastern thought that he proceeds from the person of the Father. And so, once again, he also can say the Spirit proceeds from the essence of the Son, because it's energetically from the Son and it's not hypostatic. But also he can say he proceeds from the essence of the Son in a hypostatic manner, because he says that, again, essence is not a fourth reality, but rather essence is predicated on a person. And if you say the Son proceeds from the essence of the Son, well, where did the Son get that essence? He says. And he's like, well, he got it from the Father. So to proceed from the essence of the Son, you have to proceed from the person, I guess, who distributed that essence, which would mean from the Father. So this argument isn't even an argument. It's like, well, the words, the meaning of the words, I guess, is the argument. The words, nobody has a problem with it because of the way they're understood. So yeah, that was very that was a little yap sesh. Argument 11. But if you say the Spirit proceeds from the Father through the Son, but deny he is from the Son, that makes no sense. As Jesus proceeds from Abraham through Mary, but he is also from Mary. So yeah, he is making the argument that through basically just means from, because Jesus is from Abraham but through Mary, but he's also from Mary, obviously. But again, this is like very semantical, like semantics plays a big part, because nobody denies that he is through the Son, but it's what he means by through the Son. So obviously, if we're using the analogy of existentially through Mary, that means obviously he is from Mary, which means that he has his existence in a sense. Not really Jesus, I guess, his second birth, but just a normal like human person who only has a human nature. He proceeds through his parents because he exists through his parents, but it's obviously from his parents. But when the Greeks or the Easterners say that through the Son, they don't mean existential procession, but they mean like a manifestation, like he's given through the Son to creation, which again, it's very like, what do you mean by these words? Like if Anselm, if through the Son was restricted to just being existentially through the Son, well then he would be correct here. But through the Son can mean a few things, so it doesn't like 100% follow, but it follows if I'm taking it as existential. Argument 12. The Spirit is not from two causes or sources. As the Trinity acts from one source but three persons, so it is with the Spirit. Sorry. So he's referring to, people object and say, okay, the Spirit is from the Father and the Son, and they are two persons. So how is that not two causes? And he says it's not, because when the Trinity acts, you say it's one action, but it's three persons. But you also say it's one origin. So how can you say it's three persons but one origin? And he says this the exact same with the Spirit. So yeah. And then the last one, he basically says we changed the creed because it was necessary, and the creed doesn't explicitly say everything. He says that it's implicit, and also we didn't ask consent from the Greeks because it was too difficult to assemble them, and they didn't think that they have to debate this matter with the Greeks, which is very interesting. So there was obviously, I would say, disconnect between the Latins and the Greeks. If he said it was too difficult to assemble them, and they didn't think they had to debate this matter, so they didn't even like converse with the Greeks whether to add it or take it away from the creed, according to Anselm, which is very interesting. But yeah, that's basically Anselm's argument for the spirit's procession from the Son. You see, the main one is I guess this from the Father through the Son, this shared essence, and this I guess presupposing absolute divine simplicity and Thomistic sense. This is a biblical argument he uses, and then the sending equals procession as well, like the temporal reveals the eternal, and then also this one that he basically made a couple arguments, which is the Spirit proceeds from God, and God is Father, Son, Holy Spirit. He can't proceed from himself, therefore he proceeds from the Father and the Son, which you can definitely debate that because, as I said, I've seen Catholics reject that reasoning. So yeah, that is Anselm of Canterbury on the Filioque. Very interesting. Very this is a very early like defense of the Filioque, so it's definitely not as developed as other people were arguing, like Aquinas and stuff like that. But yeah. And also, one thing that I noticed that he never even quoted a church father, I don't think. Maybe he quoted Augustine once or twice, but this is mainly like a philosophical argumentation. He didn't even quote any church fathers, which was interesting. So yeah, anyway, thank you guys very much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. You don't need to do that. Just do it. Okay, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you.